ancient times, there lived a man named Phertajido, the first man of the Andaman Islands. He originated from the hollow of a bamboo and lived alone, roaming here and there in search of food. These couple of lines, they come from a creation myth called the Great Narrative of Phertajido. It was told in the Bow language, now among the extinct Indian languages from the Andaman Islands. Bow language's last speaker, Boa Sr., passed away in 2010. She was the oldest member of the Great Andamanese, an indigenous group of the Andamans, a cluster of islands 700 miles east of the Indian mainland in the Bay of Bengal. The group is the only surviving pre-Neolithic tribe, the remnants of the first migration out of Africa 70,000 years ago. Thankfully, parts of this ancient language have been preserved. And thanks to Professor Anvita Abbi, who played a very important role in this. And she tells us about the journey in her book called Voices from the Lost Horizon. When Professor Abbi visited the Andaman Islands in 2005, there were still 8 speakers left of the Bow language. As hard as it was to find and extract those stories, because no speaker was proficient enough in any language, she was still able to complete this project. These stories then encode the worldview of the great Andamanese society as they encapsulate history, philosophy, culture, beliefs, values, and power of judgment. Sadly, the loss of language and its speakers with the ability to narrate has wiped out all these from the face of this earth, perhaps permanently. And it seems unlikely that the tribe itself will survive the test of times. It lives under the constant threat of modernity. However, by publishing these stories, the author believes will be able to give some kind of life to this lost oral heritage of a vanishing world. One of these collections of the story is called the Great Narrative of Phertajido. It recounts the life of Phertajido, the first man in the Andaman Islands. He was on his own in the island, carrying nothing but his bows and arrows. One day, he shot arrows in all directions, and that was the beginning of many things to come. In fact, in some ways, life started there. While looking for his arrows, he found a spring, thus discovering the water. Then there was one arrow stuck in the roots of a potato plant, one in a heap of incense, and so on. And that's how one by one he discovered all these things in the nature. It's interesting how this story shows the growth of a society by progressive discoveries of natural resources. And that was really the hunter-gatherer's world, isn't it? It wasn't so much about inventions, it was more about the discoveries, it was about finding food and more of natural resources. Then, using the special kind of soil in the island, Phertajido, then he made a human-like sculpture. And that sculpture would eventually become the first woman there. In fact, he falls in love with that woman. He lives with her. The two, they live as husband and wife and then have many children together. So life goes on. Eventually, the story of death also comes. That is also quite fascinating. Phertajido, along with his wife, he gathers his children in one place and he says to them, "My dear children, please keep silent for a while. Your father and your mother are speaking to you. We will no longer stay here on this earth. We'll go up above the clouds. You should live your life well here. Our time here is done, and now it's time for us to go." And after saying these words, the husband and the wife, they climb a rope and reach the clouds. And once they've reached there, they cut off the rope from above. And that's how this particular story ends. Apart from stories, you'll also find poetry or songs in this book. In fact, it's probably the only book where you'll find the poems or songs written in the Bow language. And one of the most beautiful song is, if you want to hear its audio, I'm going to play it after my voice, and that is in Boa Sr.'s voice. So I'm going to leave you with the song, and the song roughly translates to, "The earth is shaking as the tree falls with a great thud." And as you'll realize, you'll find with the song, you'll find some ancient connection of humans. So please listen and enjoy.
Wo fe tul kedong dong e jara te kudunya ilad jara te kudunya ilad jara te kudunya ilad jara te